Good morning everyone. Presently I will discuss about the bony pelvis. This is the bony pelvis as all of you can see. Bony pelvis, it is formed by four bones and four joints. Four bones are right and left hip bone. Third one is sacrum and fourth one is coccyx. These are the four bones forming the bony pelvis. Four joints are number 1 and 2, right and left sacroiliac joint. Third one is sacrococcygeal joint, present posterior-inferiorly and antero-inferiorly by the pubic symphysis. So these are the four bone and four joint. They will form the bony pelvis. Now this bony pelvis, it is classified into two main parts. Upper portion is known as greater pelvis and this lower narrow portion is known as lesser pelvis. The line of demarcation is the pelvic brim. This is the pelvic brim or pelvic inlet, or third name is superior pelvic aperture. This pelvic brim, it is formed by from behind forwards. If I name the parts, this is sacral promontory, anterior margin of the ala of the sacrum, then arcuate line of the ilium, then iliopubic eminence, then pubic pecten pubis, then pubic crest. So these are the parts on one side. The same part on the other side, they will constitute the pelvic brim or superior pelvic aperture. So it will divide the pelvis into upper wide part and lower narrow part. This upper wide part is known as greater pelvis. It is also known as false pelvis. It consists of right and left iliac fossa and it will form the part of the posterior wall of the abdomen. Lower pelvis is known as lower part of the pelvis is known as lesser pelvis or true pelvis. It consists of the pelvic viscera. Now I will discuss about the lesser pelvis or true pelvis. This lesser pelvis consists of the pelvic wall. Pelvic wall, it is made up of number 1 bones, number 2 ligaments and membranes, and number 3 muscles. Now first is bony wall. Bony wall, it is formed anteriorly by the pelvic surface of the body of the pubis, posteriorly by the pelvic surface of the sacrum and coccyx. On each side, it is formed by inferior pubic ramus, ischium bone with its ramus, ischial ramus, ischial tuberosity, and lower part of the ilium. So this is the bony wall on in front, in behind, and on each side. Now second is ligaments and membrane. Now this is obturator foramen. Obturator foramen on inner aspect, it is covered by obturator membrane. So obturator membrane, it will complete the lower part of the lateral wall of the pelvis. That is the membrane. Now ligament, here you can see the gap between the sacrum bone and the hip bone. So this gap is bridged by two ligaments. One is sacrotuberous ligament and second is sacrospinous ligament. So these two ligaments, they will form a part of the posterior wall of the pelvis. So this is the pelvic wall under the heading of ligaments and membrane. Now third one is muscles. The obturator internus muscle is present by it and is covered by obturator fascia. It is present on the lateral wall of the pelvis. So it will form a part of lateral wall of the pelvis. Obturator internus muscle along with covering fascia. Now second muscle is piriformis. Piriformis is present in the greater sciatic notch. It is covered by fascia. So it will form a part of the posterior wall of the pelvis. So this is the how the pelvic wall is formed. It is formed by the bones. Second, it is formed by the muscles, and third, it is formed by the ligaments and membrane. Now, for the purpose of description, this bony pelvis is divided into three main headings. First is pelvic inlet, second is pelvic cavity, third one is pelvic outlet. So these are the headings under which I will discuss the bony pelvis. Now first is pelvic inlet or superior aperture of the pelvis, or third one name is pelvic brim. Pelvic brim, it is bounded anteriorly by the upper margin of the pubic symphysis, posteriorly by the sacral promontory, and on either side it is bounded by linea terminalis. Now linea terminalis includes what? It includes number 1 anterior margin of the ala of the sacrum, number 2 arcuate line, arcuate line, it is the lower part of the medial border of the ilium. Third one is pecten pubis, and fourth one is pubic crest. So this component, it will form the linea terminalis on either side. So it is the boundary of the pelvic inlet. Now this pelvic inlet, it is a somewhat heart shape in case of a male pelvis, and it is round to oval shape in case of a female pelvis. That is about. And one more thing, in anatomical position, the plane of the pelvic inlet, it will form an angle of 50 to 60 degree with the horizontal plane. That is about the pelvic inlet. Now second component is pelvic outlet. Here this is known as pelvic outlet. Now this is pubic symphysis joint, and below in the lower margin there is a presence of one ligament. That ligament is known as inferior pubic ligament or arcuate pubic ligament. Now boundaries of the pelvic outlet. Pelvic outlet is bounded anteriorly by the inferior pubic ligament, posteriorly by the tip of the coccyx, and also a part of sacrotuberous ligament and ischial tuberosity. On either side, the pelvic outlet is bounded by ischial tuberosity and sacrotuberous ligament. So these are the boundaries of the pelvic outlet. Now pelvic outlet, it is somewhat wider in case of a female pelvis, and it is shallow or smaller in case of a male pelvis. Along with the pelvic outlet, I want to add one point. This is pubic arch. This is a V shape or U shape pubic arch. Pubic arch, it is formed by, on either side, it is formed by ischiopubic rami, and in the center it is formed by arcuate pubic ligament present along the lower margin of the pubic symphysis. So this is the pubic arch, and this area, this is known as subpubic angle, and this subpubic angle, it is wider in female pelvis, it is smaller in case of a male pelvis. So that is about the pelvic outlet. Now plane of the pelvic outlet in anatomical position, it will make an angle of 15 degree with the horizontal plane. Now third point in the pelvis is pelvic floor. Now this is the pelvic cavity and this is the pelvic floor. Pelvic floor is formed by pelvic diaphragm, and pelvic diaphragm, it consists of two muscles, levator ani and coccygeus muscle. These two muscles, they will form the pelvic diaphragm. Pelvic diaphragm, it will separate the pelvic cavity above from the perineum below. So that is about the pelvic diaphragm. Now next point is pelvic cavity. This space is known as pelvic cavity. Pelvic cavity, it is open above. It is continuous with the abdominal cavity at the level of pelvic brim. It is limited below by the pelvic diaphragm. It is separated by pelvic diaphragm from the perineum. Now pelvic cavity in anatomical position, it is directed at first downwards and backwards, and then downwards and forwards. So the curvature of the pelvic cavity, it is somewhat J-shape. This is important point to remember. The direction of the pelvic cavity is J-shape. First downwards and backwards, and then downwards and forwards. Now content of the pelvic cavity are very important. Content on the pelvic cavity anteriorly, it consists of urinary bladder, and in case of a male pelvis, below the neck of the bladder there is a presence of prostate. Posteriorly, pelvic cavity contains sigmoid colon and rectum. In between anterior and posterior component, there is a presence of transverse septum. This is known as genital septum. This genital septum, it is narrow in case of a male pelvis. It consists of vas deferens, seminal vesicles, and ureters on either side. In case of a female pelvis, this genital septum, it is larger. It consists of uterus, fallopian tube, then ligament of the ovary and ovaries, and round ligament of the uterus and ureters. So these are the component or content of the pelvic cavity. So that is about the contents. Now next point is pelvimetry. In brief, you have to understand what is pelvimetry. Measurement of the diameters of the pelvis is known as pelvimetry. The importance of the pelvimetry, it is mainly obstetrical. It is important for the forensic medicine experts. It is also important for the anthropological studies. Now, in the pelvimetry, what is measured? I will discuss in brief only. As I have discussed, the bony pelvis consists of three components: pelvic inlet, pelvic cavity, and pelvic outlet. So, in all these three components, three diameters are measured. One is antero-posterior diameter, second is transverse diameter, and third one is oblique diameter. These three diameter they will measured, and it is known as pelvimetry. Now, in the so just I will brief you what are the diameters and what are the bony landmarks for these diameters. Now this is the pelvic inlet. In the pelvic inlet, three diameters are measured. Antero-posterior diameter, it is measured from the upper margin of the pubic symphysis to the midpoint of the sacral promontory. This is the antero-posterior diameter of the pelvic inlet. This diameter is known as true conjugate diameter of the pelvis. It can be asked in the viva or 1 mark question. Now second is transverse diameter. It is the maximum distance in the pelvic inlet. Now third one is oblique diameter. Oblique diameter is measured from the one side sacroiliac joint to the other side iliopubic eminence. This is iliopubic eminence and this is sacroiliac joint. So this diameter is known as oblique diameter of a pelvic inlet. So these are three diameters in the pelvic inlet. Remember, true conjugate diameter, that is antero-posterior diameter of the bony pelvis, pelvic inlet. Now second is pelvic cavity. In the pelvic cavity, antero-posterior diameter, it is measured from the body of the S3 vertebrae to the middle of the pubic symphysis. Then transverse diameter, it is maximum transverse distance. And third is oblique diameter. It is measured from the lower margin of the right one side sacroiliac joint to the midpoint of the obturator membrane. That is the oblique diameter of the pelvic cavity. Now third one is pelvic outlet. Three diameters are measured in the pelvic outlet. Antero-posterior diameter is measured from the lower margin of the pubic symphysis to the tip of the coccyx. That is epidiameter. Transverse diameter between the two ischial tuberosities. And oblique diameter, it is measured between midpoint of the sacrotuberous ligament on one side to the ischiopubic rami, junction of the ischiopubic rami on the other side. So these are the three diameters of the pelvic outlet. So remember, in the pelvimetry, three diameters are measured in pelvic inlet, pelvic cavity, and pelvic outlet. Out of these three diameter, most important diameter to remember is true conjugate diameter, that is antero-posterior diameter of the pelvic inlet. Now, clinically, what we can measure is, we can measure diagonal conjugate diameter through the per vaginal examination of the female. In that, the distance between lower margin of the pubic symphysis to the middle of the sacral promontory. This can be measured clinically, and this is known as diagonal conjugate diameter. It is about 11.5 centimeter. So rough estimate of the true conjugate diameter can be measured by deduction of the 1.5 to 2 centimeter from the diagonal conjugate diameter. So this is known as diagonal conjugate diameter. Now third diameter, it is written in book is external conjugate diameter. That is distance between upper margin of the pubic symphysis anteriorly to the spine of the lumbar 5 vertebrae, L5 vertebrae present above the sacrum. So this diameter is known as external conjugate diameter. So remember, conjugate diameter under three heading. First is true conjugate diameter, second is external conjugate diameter, and clinically we can measure the diagonal conjugate diameter through the per vaginal examination of the female. So that is about the antero-posterior diameter of the pelvic inlet, that is conjugate diameter. So that is in brief about the pelvimetry. Now next point in the pelvis I want to add is, what is the morphological classification of the bony pelvis? This bony pelvis, it is classified according to the shape of the pelvic inlet into four types. First type is gynecoid pelvis. In the gynecoid pelvis, the shape of the pelvic inlet is round to oval. It is round to oval in shape. The pelvic wall on either side, it is vertical, and shape of the pelvic cavity, it is somewhat cylindrical. That is the gynecoid pelvis. Now second type is android pelvis. Android pelvis, in that the shape of the pelvic inlet is somewhat triangular. The pelvic walls are funnel shaped. The pelvic outlet is narrow as compared to the pelvic inlet. So android pelvis, it is the normal male pelvis, and gynecoid pelvis is the normal female pelvis. Third type is anthropoid type of a pelvis. It is present in the anthropoid apse. In that, the shape of the pelvic inlet is antero-posteriorly oval. Shape is antero-posteriorly oval. That is anthropoid pelvis. And fourth one is platypelloid pelvis. In that, the shape of the pelvic inlet is transversely oval or flat. So these are the four types are given. Four types are classified in the bony pelvis. Gynecoid pelvis, that is normal female pelvis, shape is pelvic inlet, it is round to oval in shape. Second is android pelvis, it is a normal male pelvis, the shape of the pelvic inlet is triangular. Third one is anthropoid pelvis, that is antero-posteriorly oval shape pelvic inlet, it is found in the anthropoid apse. And fourth one is platypelloid pelvis, in that the shape of the pelvic inlet is transversely oval, it is known as flat pelvis. Now, what do you mean by normal female pelvis? In the female, if gynecoid type of a pelvis is present, there is a maximum chances of normal delivery. So it is known as normal female pelvis. But if in the female, the other type of the pelvis is present, it is considered as a contracted pelvis, in which the diameters are somewhat smaller than the average diameter in the female. So in the contracted pelvis, there may be difficulty in the normal vaginal delivery. So that is about the normal female pelvis, that is gynecoid pelvis. Now next point is, it is the most important point, what are the differences in the male and female pelvis? These are the most important viva question. Now, in general, the bones of the male, they are rough, they are strong, and they have a prominent muscular markings. In case of a female, the bones are thin, smooth, and they have a less prominent muscular markings. Now, the first is differentiating point between male and female pelvis is, first is false pelvis or greater pelvis. It is shallow in case of a female, it is deeper in case of a male pelvis. Now second point is shape of the pelvic inlet. It is heart shape in case of a male, it is round to oval in shape in case of a female. Third point is pelvic cavity. Pelvic cavity, it is wide and roomy in case of a female pelvis, and pelvic cavity, it is smaller in case of a male pelvis. In the pelvic cavity, the pelvic walls are cylindrical in female pelvis, and pelvic wall are conical or funnel shape in case of a male pelvis. Now next point is pelvic outlet. Pelvic outlet is wider in female pelvis, pelvic outlet is smaller in case of a male pelvis. Subpubic angle, it is wider, it is about 80 to 85 degree in case of a female pelvis, and subpubic angle, it is smaller, it is about 50 to 60 degree in case of a male pelvis. Now the shape of the obturator foramen, it is triangular in case of a female pelvis, it is oval in shape in case of a male pelvis. Acetabulum, it is larger in the male pelvis, it is smaller in case of a female pelvis. Sacrum, it is short and wide in the female pelvis, and sacrum, it is long and narrow in case of a male pelvis. And one more point is preauricular sulcus. Here you can see in the hip bone, this is the auricular surface which will unite with the sacrum bone. So in front of it, this area, this is known as preauricular sulcus. This preauricular sulcus, it is prominent in case of a female pelvis. So these are the important differences of the male and female pelvis. Remember, you have to answer in in sequence, like point of the sacrum differences, then differentiating point of the false pelvis, and then differentiating point of the pelvic inlet, pelvic cavity, pelvic outlet, and subpubic angle. So that is about the differences of the male and female pelvis. Now last point is, what is the anatomical position of the bony pelvis? Bony pelvis, anatomically it is present not like this, it is present somewhat like tilted like this. So it is described as following points. First point is anterior superior iliac spine and pubic tubercle, it lies in the same coronal plane. Second point is upper end of the sacral canal, it is directed upwards and slightly backwards. Third point, pelvic surface of the body of the pubis, it faces backwards and upwards. Fourth point, plane of the pelvic inlet, it will make an angle of 50 to 60 degree with the horizontal plane. And fifth point, plane of the pelvic outlet, it will make an angle of 15 degree with the horizontal plane. So these are the points you have to answer in anatomical position of the bony pelvis. That's all. Thank you very much.